I remember FouseyTube did this. FouseyTube, he bought a house for his parents and ended up having to sell it because things went wrong for him. This is what I want for people. You know, you buy a home, you're very smart, so you're gonna do like the whole 20%, and then you're gonna pay it off for them or whatever. And then if things go wrong, what happens then? Hey guys, hi, Bryson here. And you know, guys, what is a lot of money to you guys, okay? Because making $515,000 a year is definitely a lot of money to me while living, for example, in California. Whether you're in California, in New York, in India, it's just a lot of money. However, we're gonna find out exactly how this guy spends that much money a year in California. And don't be surprised, you know, because $550,000 is a lot of money. But if you want to spend it, it's not that hard to actually spend it. You got cars that cost $2 million, houses that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, so it's not that complicated to spend that much money. But let's find out what he is actually doing with this money. If you guys are new here, make sure to go ahead and basically subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified. And if you guys are coming back here because you guys know the vibes, well, go ahead and basically smash the like button. It helps out with the algorithm. That way YouTube shows these videos to other people and we keep growing and growing and growing. Thus, the videos actually continue. Without further ado though, let's find out exactly what's actually going on here.
I didn't like the thought of putting money aside that I couldn't touch. I wanted to be able to invest everything and have it be tangible. But through like the advice of my siblings and my CPA, I do contribute about $1,500 a month to my self-directed IRA, which...
Interesting. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I think what he's saying is just, I don't know what's going on here because sometimes like these videos start off like in a weird tangent. You don't know what's going on. It's just like a just quote out of nowhere. But it sounds like I don't want to invest my money into things that are not, like, I can't really see them physically, right? But remember, right, when you're investing money into stocks and into retirement accounts and so on, you're investing your money into real companies that actually really do exist. By the way, he drives a Tesla. Teslas are cool, man.
I am able to invest.
Look at that, $55,000, nice.
And still have control over.
This 25-year-old lives on $515,000 in Berkeley, California. Let's say something, guys, okay? So how much money is that per month, just for concept here? Let's say per day, right? 515K, which is basically $500,000, divided by 365 is somewhere around $1,410 per day that he actually makes. By 30, that's around $42,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Let's find out how he spends it.
My name is Sahil Mehta. I'm 25 years old. I make around $515,000.
Why do people in California wear like coats? I don't understand it. Like, is it really that cold? Does it get that cold over there?
And I live in Berkeley, California.
I'm gonna guess most likely Shale is a real estate investor and developer. Interesting, interesting. So he invests into real estate and he also develops them at age 25. That's awesome. I watch these videos not for the money, but to find out what they do to actually make this much money and what's the leverage involved here. By the way, this brand right here is Canada Goose, and just a vest can go for $400 to $500. It's not cheap stuff.
I work as an executive assistant for Herman Chan at
real estate. What is it? Executive assistant for Herman Chan and what? Golden Gate South Bay.
Golden Gate Sotheby's, and my day-to-day really can be largely unpredictable. I make a commission on every deal that we close, and
I see. Interesting.
Fortunately, you know, the real estate market.
So this $550,000 is more like it averages, right? So some years you got more commissions than other years.
Here in the San Francisco Bay Area has not slowed down. It has only increased year over year since I've started.
That's awesome. You know, one thing I learned is especially like if you're this young or older and you have this crazy boost in income, try to use this income to kind of get out of the game as fast as possible. Not to say you stop working trying to make money, but saying, for example, you set yourself up so you don't need money anymore. Because just 2 years of earning this much money, that's $1 million. So you're able to just fully get out of the game, you know, as long as you keep your costs very low.
And a lot of it has to do with, you know, market timing.
Wow. He's on track to make $350,000 to $400,000 in 2021 as an executive assistant. Look at that, guys. But remember, it's not just an assistant. It's also, for example, commissions or so. And remember, right? Let me see. He and his brother Susha have $9.4 million in real estate investments. Remember, right? It's not just that. It's like when you sell a property, let's just say, for example, in Florida for $100,000, your 5% commission is less like, like $5,000. But when you sell a property for $1 million, 5% commission is 50K. So it adds up a lot. That's the whole point there. $9.4 million in real estate. These numbers used to impress me a lot, but the truth is that, for example, $9.4 million. How do you do this math exactly? Because $9.4 million, if you wanted to acquire this much real estate, it only take a down payment, if you do this correctly, right, of usually maybe just 20%, sometimes even just 3.5%. So all you really need is around 1.8 million to acquire 9.4 million. And if you're for example, very heavily leveraged, and you start off, for example, with one and then the next one and so on, which I doubt this guy's doing that, you can say, well, multiply by 0.035, then you only really need $300,000, right? Real estate is very interesting, man. It allows you to leverage like crazy and acquire a lot of things, but it's a very dangerous game if you don't know what you're doing. Family stresses. Interesting.
So I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. My
Baltimore, Maryland.
dad was a practicing physician and my mom was a business owner. My family sort of lost a lot of what they worked so hard to earn in the market crash of 2000 and 2008.
It's so interesting, 2008 happened, the market crash, especially people buying real estate. This is why it's so dangerous, okay? To buy things based on trends, to buy things out of, for example, like, hey, I just want to buy this thing. I want it now. I want to buy this house. I heard a story yesterday about this doctor who earns like around $12,000, like I think it's bi-weekly or something like that. And he bought this house for around $350,000 to $400,000. But he bought it when the market was very, very hot. And then when the whole crash happened, just like that, he lost $150,000 on that house. That's why you have to be careful with what you're buying. Don't be an idiot and overpay for things, okay? Not calling people an idiot. But I'm saying, for example, be careful with this game. You pay what something is worth, not what, for example, the crazy market is saying that is worth. There's a big difference, okay? A big disconnect. The market, intrinsic value, can be very different at times. And putting all your eggs in the basket of the stock market is not that good of an idea. Remember, always have an emergency fund of at least 6 months, so if things do go wrong, you have time to kind of recover. And if you want to retire from the stock market, make sure you have at least like a 20 to 30% margin of safety. So if you need $1 million in there, have an extra $200,000 or $300K to make sure everything's fine.
And so at an early age, I learned the importance of managing money and managing risk, which really accelerated my timeline. I had different side hustles in middle school. I was selling snacks in between classes.
That's awesome.
Which really created a sense of urgency for me to be able to.
There's this massive sense of urgency for a lot of young adults. And, sometimes it works out, but sometimes it can mess you up. Be patient, own your craft, make it happen, and take it step by step.
Learn about financial freedom and
I love Pixie, man.
Being able to provide that to my parents as quickly as possible so I could, leave them from the pressures that they were putting on themselves to support us.
Nice. Sai's father had a heart attack. Oh, wow. In 2013, when Sally was 17 years old. That
forced me to learn about money and managing. Our parents never wanted us to be stressed or pressured, but inadvertently us seeing like what they were doing to provide for us was a lot of pressure, and it always created a sense of urgency.
You can always see, kids don't hear what you say. They see what you do. Not just what you do, also how you feel. Like people can feel those things.
And me.
Budget.
I don't pay any rent right now. I live in a building that I own.
Nice. So this guy lives in a building that he owns. Does he own the building? Or is he financing the building? So savings, $10,000 per month.
And I try to keep it that way. Elon Musk, like to many, is like a pretty big role model.
All right, so right here, savings $10,000, transportation $1,745. That is an insane amount of money for a car. Wow. That's why I don't get, a lot of people, when they can win the game so fast and they choose not to. Well, not choosing not to, I would say, but you know, it's not that hard. Yes, you make a lot of money. You're able to afford certain things, and I get the math. You know, the math is why would I spend money buying this depreciating asset? Blah 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 blah. But if you want to buy a vehicle, just buy the vehicle. Pay cash for it. Call it a day. You're done with that game. SEP IRA, you put in $1,500. Not bad, pretty good. Food, $700 for one person is ridiculous. But again, you can afford it. Travel, $460. Discretionary, $310. Memberships, $200, and then phone bill, $70. Interesting.
I ended up buying Tesla Model X. It was my dream car, and I just feel so fortunate.
That car is like $100,000, isn't it? Yeah, that's why it's so much money.
To be able to buy it, but then also just use it at the end of the last year.
And I'm guessing that it's also like a business expense, right? So, yeah.
I found out that there was a way that I could buy the car and write off the entire amount.
Because it weighs over 5,000 pounds.
It weighed more than a certain amount. And so I discovered that the Model X qualified. So there's definitely moments where I...
Be careful buying things you don't need and justifying it with tax incentives, because it's an incentive for a reason. It's not, doesn't mean like it benefits you. It's just an incentive if you were going to do it in the first place. Be careful with this game.
Will splurge on, you know, looking good and eating good, because I have a membership at Equinox. Sometimes I don't make the best use out of it, and I know it looks that way, but I do
I know it looks that way. That's interesting.
try to go to the gym.
You got a trainer, man. Invest in your health. Sai has 84,000 in his personal savings accounts. Nice, nice, nice. Nice. Not bad, not bad. You should have at least like 6 months worth of emergencies. In this case, not bad, not bad. Once he saves enough, he buys another house or upgrades his existing rentals. Yeah, so most likely he's I don't want to say this word, right? But my guess, educated guess here from what it sounds like, once I save enough, I get another property, right? So most likely it's like down payments, right? Either 20%, 10% on the property, buy the next one. The thing with this game is, right, that when you really think about it, people sometimes focus on the process and not on like the actual goal. So the goal is financial freedom. The process is, for example, the investment and everything else. And the seed capital comes from your income. Let's say, for example, his income falls, because it could happen, is based on the real estate market. Real estate market can actually slow down. That's fine. So if that falls, for example, and now he's left with all these properties, and let's say we have like a massive collapse or something crazy happens and tenants aren't paying him anymore. You know, very unlikely. I know. But there's something called Murphy's Law. And what can go wrong usually does go wrong. And now you're kind of stuck with all these properties. You have some vacancies. You got to come out of pocket on some of them. And you're like, I don't have the money. That leads to bankruptcy here and here and here and here. And then that could just basically mess you up completely. But if what you want, for example, is financial freedom, passive income, and security, well, you have emergency accounts, right? You buy your first property, your first building, you pay that off. So now that gives you, for example, $3,000, $4,000 in income every single month. That's really all you need, right? And then after that also, you still have a great job, so you can keep investing one by one. You pay them off, and then that's the whole game. But by that point, just with the first property, you're fully done. That's the thing. A lot of people don't play the game that way. They play it as, you know, I'm just going to use my income to buy as much as I can. And hopefully in the next 30 years, 30 years is a long time, right? Next 30 years, everything is fully paid off. Everything went well. But in 30 years, Warren Buffett went through a lot in 30 years. He went through a market crash that lasted 25 years. A lot can happen. A lot can happen. So this is why I play the game, to get out as fast as possible, but still have my job. So at this age, because he's 25 and 24 years old, I can say, well, when I buy my home next year, that'll be fully paid off. I have my investments in the stock market that pay me enough money to actually live off, and I still have my job that I actually enjoy. So if I want to keep investing, I can if I want to, but I don't have to, right? But I could say, well, I'm going to use my income, which is pretty substantial. I'm going to use this income to buy more houses, 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 which kind of like increases my income in a sense, but also increases my leverage, my responsibility, and also the likelihood that I'll actually fail. And I'm actually never the owner of anything. And if things go wrong, well, I got to go back to zero on Monopoly. But if things go wrong when I have a paid-for house, an emergency fund, my investments, no, nothing's happening to me. That's what I want to assure. Hope that makes sense.
So the goal is to try to save as much as possible, and sometimes, you know, it turns out to be very little just because of the natural expenses that come with property management and property improvement. That
I'm telling you, man, real estate is not cheap. Real estate is not cheap. You have property. And by the way, it's like property management. You have, for example, things break down sometimes. So that's like maintenance. So it's a lot of things to think about, right? So it's not like you're broke, you go into this business. No, it will cost you money. It will cost you money. It's not a cheap business.
That we do. Prior to owning the real estate investments, I probably was saving upwards of 99% of what I was making. That is largely what led to being able to buy and invest in real estate so early on, is because I was able to save like a significant portion of what I made.
Nice. California sunshine. And by the way, you also have shifts in kind of like environments, right? So California right now is a hot topic, might not be a hot topic in the next few years, right? So then you have, because everything is based on demand and supply. So this is why things are so important. This is why you don't want to be over leveraged, because if things shift, and then what you paid and what your cash and cash return was originally is no longer going to be basically made real by the tenants paying you that much money, then you got another problem too, right? So it's kind of like 30 years is a long time. It's a long time to kind of like say like, this is going to go right. This is gonna, even Warren Buffett, when he invests, right? He's kind of like, I'm investing to invest forever, but it's based on believing in this business that it will be good forever, right? But here's why this will actually happen. Real estate is kind of different. Shao moved to Berkeley when he was 16 years old to live with his brother, Sparsh. So he has like 3 brothers, right? Yeah, there you go. They lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and Sahil worked at Chipotle while finishing high school. And by the way, Chipotle is a great job. Chipotle, Starbucks, and I think, is it Walmart? Yeah, Walmart. They pay for some of your college, so take advantage of those things.
He inspired and motivated me to be able to move to Berkeley. While attending my senior year at Berkeley High School, I discovered that there was an option to...
And my mom never liked those outfits where you don't wear a belt, but I think it's fine. I think it's like classy, right? But my mom hates those outfits. Like, just reminded me of my mom somewhere.
Take
and my grandma.
Concurrent.
Where's your belt? Did you forget your belt? No, mom, it's a fashion. It's a fashion.
Enrollment for classes that transferred to UC Berkeley at a discounted rate or completely free.
Yeah, you see?
And so I aggressively took as many courses as I could to transfer. So graduating high school, I enrolled into Berkeley as a junior instead of a freshman.
That is awesome. Yo, shout out to this guy. That's awesome. I did not do that. What I did was I took like 3, I got 3 credits, right? Yeah, I got English, I got accounting 101, and I think I got like a math or a writing one. I don't remember what it was, but I got like three classes by the time when I was in high school. So and also Spanish. So by the time I went to because I took like AP Spanish, something like that. So by the time I went to I think it was 3 credits. So by the time I went to college, I had 3 credits, and might not seem like a lot, but each credit in college is well, I had 9 credits. Each credit in college is like around $700. So $700 times 9, you can do the math. It's a lot of money in savings. Sahih got his real estate license when he was 18 years old. Nice, that's awesome. So he's been in business for the past 6 years.
It was a little to no cost investment to experiment with the idea of being a real estate agent.
Look what he said. Experiment with the idea of being a real estate investor. What did I do? I just went ahead and got my license and started selling properties for people or managing them, whatever it takes, right? Just do that. Just get started. It doesn't take that much money. No, Tommy, before I get started, I need to have $100,000. I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. And you have no experience. People are so afraid of doing things the old way. The old way is you work under somebody else, like an apprenticeship. You learn from them, all their mistakes or their gains. You learn the techniques, and then you go ahead and kind of like improve on those things and then start your own investments, right? Learn from other people.
And so I worked on getting my license simultaneous to all the other things that I was working on, primarily getting into Berkeley. When I got into real estate, I just wanted to graduate and get it done with, and then just focus as much as I could on learning about real estate.
Awesome. Sadie bought his first real estate property after he graduated from UC Berkeley in 2017. Reminds me a lot of my friend, man. He graduated from this college, paid off his student loan debt, and then just went right ahead and bought a property. He's like, I wish I didn't pay my student loans. I'm like, I'm happy you did, because you're too smart for your own good. He used the money he earned as an executive assistant to buy the property in Berkeley. What did he graduate as? I didn't catch that.
My brother and I own 5 properties now in close proximity to Berkeley campus. We bought half of our portfolio.
Oh, look at that. So it's close proximity. So maybe a part of their income is based on students being able to actually live there and then pay them rent, something like that. If that is it, then there's so many factors, man.
Last year, more than half of our portfolio just in 1 year. Doing all this while working as an executive assistant, it does give me a little more enjoyment because of the control. You know, I'm not told what to do or anything, and so part of that is definitely better.
I wonder, like, what this guy's goal is. Is his goal to like just live off of real estate and be fine? Then if your goal is that, why not just like pay off like 2 properties, you know, and then just be done with that whole game by 20 with that income, man. By 20, because if we're saying you have 5 properties and they're worth $9.4 million, that's the thing, man. You're talking about 9.4 million dollars, which is something like this, divided by 5 properties. That's around 1.8 per property on average, right? So if you pay 2 of those off, or just one of, I just don't know how much income they actually bring you, though. That's the one thing I'm missing from this equation. Property management.
Sometimes I could wipe out entirely what I made in a month, but generally I like to save more than half of what I make in a month. More if possible, but sometimes, you know, expenses that come with.
Net monthly rental income. So property 1, $1,150. Property 2, $2,140. Property 3, $3,300. Property 4, $12,000. Property 5, $5,000. Now remember, right? We're talking about basically, right? This is net, net monthly income, right? We're talking about $9.4 million, right? Imagine having a property that's worth $1.8 million, if that's the truth, right? Maybe probably less, and only making $1,100 from it.
Property ownership, it's sometimes.
What is it? $24,000. Let's see. By the way, this is nets. I don't know if it's accounted, for example, for expenses that pop up or whatever. Times 12, that's $296,000 divided by $9.4 million. That is a cash and So you're making like around 3.14% on that $9.4 million. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not the amount of money you make, it's like what the ROI actually is. And it's not this simple because it's based on cap rate, not based on cash and cash. I don't know how much money they actually have in their properties. Most likely they probably have let's just say $9.4 million. Let's assume they've been generous and they said, hey, I want to put down 20%. Well, $1.8 million, that's how much they actually have potentially in cash inside of these properties. So if you say, well, I'm making $296,000 a year divided by $1.8 million, that's more like a return of around 16%, which looks a lot more favorable. But in reality, it's not like cap rate, right? Because the thing is, you don't really own one of these things, and everything has to go correct for you for the next 30 years. It's just such a weird game, man. I'm really happy I've changed my perspective.
It can be very unpredictable, and I have no control over that. And so sometimes if I have to replace an unexpected leaking pipe or old roof or something, for the most part, I have anticipated expenses for.
My rule is first of all, I'll buy my first property. I have the cash, so I'm getting ready for that already. I'll start looking, for example, around March or April time of next year, if God allows it. I'll buy my first property. I'll be done paying for it in full by the end of that year, if God allows it again. And then when I buy my first real estate property for like investment purposes, when I buy that property, I'll put down 20%. I'll also save up, for example, 6 months worth of expenses for that property, and also have, for example, like a sinking fund for like roofs and stuff like that just might happen in case anything goes wrong. But that's 6 months is more for like vacancies and just crazy things that might actually happen, right? So if things do go wrong, the money's always there. So along with my money, the tenant's money, I'm gonna pay that off as fast as possible. In Puerto Rico, that might be like 2-3 years. So probably less than a year, honestly, because like Puerto Rico is not that expensive at all. It's like $100,000 per property. So relative to my income. So I'll buy that property, be done with it, buy the next one, use that income plus my income plus the other income to basically pay that off even faster and faster and faster and faster. My biggest thing is, will I stay here for a very long time? I don't know. And remember, right? real estate prices are also relative to the income you make. So it's not like I'm going to be making this much money because, you know, $100,000 for a property only pays you like $700 a month, right? So, but it's all perspective, because by that point, I'm just adding on to my income. It's not because I need more money. It's just an add-on.
Property maintenance, but oftentimes there are unpredictable expenses. The way that I've handled my taxes year over year has changed dramatically just because
Oh, look, he does protein stuff.
amount that I've made has
And coconut water. I like coconut water.
changed. I created an LLC just so I could have some tax liability. I really don't know as much as my CPA. I like sort of am hands off.
You should that's good to delegate and to understand that you're not that good. It's not good if you just don't change that, right? So you're 25 years old. Take a little course or read a few books about taxes and tax law and real estate. So that way you have some perspective about what's going on with your money. Because sometimes your CPA might miss a few things, and I know it's like, why would I hire somebody like that? They should know everything. But it's important that you know also a part of what's going on. You got the LLC, so you can write off the interest, you can write off the depreciation, you can write off your car. All these things are important too, right? But make sure you have like at least like a basic understanding of the knowledge. You don't need to be like the CPA, but you need to understand some of it too. Stress relievers, golf.
Golf is a big escape for me when I have time.
The average golf player makes around $96,000. Did you know that? It's one of the best places to actually go and communicate with people. What is it called? Networking? Hey, network with people. Golf is cool, man. Golf is cool. Go do it. Just don't become one of those high spenders for no reason, just to fit in.
I'm able to get out there and play some golf, watch basketball, and especially with my brother on the court, it's like now even more meaningful to watch the games.
Oh, Shahid brother wow, look at this. Shahil's brother, Suhash, is the first India origin referee in the NBA. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Traveling is one of the things that I really, really enjoy.
That's awesome.
I wasn't ever able to really...
My whole thing is, right, I love this story, right? But my whole thing is, you got to understand the game you're playing and with what end are you playing it? Because a lot of us just play the game to play and it never ends. So if what you want out of life is security, enjoy time with your family, all these things, just get there as fast as possible. This income won't last forever. Hopefully it does, but just get out the game as fast as possible. You have 2 properties, you hire a property manager, they handle everything for you, they make you $10,000 per month or whatever it is, you're done. That's it. Like really, like how much money do you actually need? You're able to travel with that money, able to have security with that money. If you want to build like even more, like you really ask yourself why. It's very important that you actually know why you're doing what you're doing, right? It's not just what you do, it's why you do it. I remember I read this quote, not a quote, but it was in a book. It was in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he says, when people are dying, they don't talk about their money. They don't talk about, for example, the TV they haven't watched or whatever. It's all about their family and their experiences and their regrets. So I'm very focused on that. I think about that a lot. I'm not saying that money is bad. It's not. I like money. I make money. It's great, right? Investing is awesome. I invest every day. But it's good to have intentions with the games you're playing, to know what the end goal is, right? And then work towards that. I love Tim Ferriss, man. Tim Ferriss does such a great job at breaking those things down, man. Shout out to Tim Ferriss.
Travel as much as I would have liked to, but I mean, every year my family drops, sort of what they're doing, and we're able to squeeze out 1 week out of the year to be together in Hawaii.
Look at that, just 1 week. That's my thing, man. I don't like it. I don't like it. And this was my plan too, I was building a business where it was making me $8,000 per month. It was doing great. Everything's great. And I literally had 1 week out of the year for vacation. And I was like, so I'm working this job to make more money, to have more freedom, but it takes away all my freedom. And I don't get to do any things that I like, right? It's like this story. I'll tell you guys a story here, although this video is long, and it's long already, so who cares if it's a little longer. It's a story about the fisherman and the Harvard graduate, right? And they're in this island in Mexico. It's a very remote island. It's a beautiful island. People go there on vacation. And the guy's fishing, right? The person that actually lives there, the resident, he's fishing, he catches a few fishes, and then he basically is getting off his little boat and he's going back to his home. And the Harvard guy asks him, "Hey, what are you doing there?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just fishing." And the Harvard guy asks him, "Well, tell me about your life. What do you do?" And he says, "Well, I fish a little. I go back home, give it to my wife. We sell a few. We make some money. Then in the evenings, we go dancing and hanging out with my friends, and then just having fun and enjoying life and hanging out with my kids. And he's like, well, what you should do, the Harvard guy says, what you should do is basically use that revenue to buy a bigger boat. And the guy says, for what? Because with the bigger boat, you can catch more fish, right? Okay, for what? Well, with more fish, you can basically get more boats and hire more people to actually run this company for you. For what? He keeps asking for what? That's the whole story. And he says, well, once you do that, you can potentially create this big conglomerate. For what? Well, eventually, you can go ahead and make this company public once you grow enough. For what? Because then you can be in New York, move your family over there, and then you guys are just, for example, living it up and making a lot of money from this thing. And he says, for what? He says, well, that way, once you make enough money, you're able to sell the company and then move to a little island in Mexico, remote island, and just fish every now and then, spend time with your wife, with their friends, and basically do whatever you want. And he's like, well, that's what I do right now. You know what I mean? So why go through all that when that's what I do right now? It's the same concept here. That's what I mean, guys, okay? It's about knowing what you're doing with what intentions. You know, when you talk about traveling, it doesn't cost you more than $10K per year, honestly, right? A trip to go anywhere doesn't cost you that much. Very smart about it. So it's about knowing what you want out of life and doing it right now instead of waiting. All these plans are literally like 30 years into the future, making sure that everything turns out great. 30 years from now, bro, you're going to be 55 years old, right? You're going to be 55 years old. What happened by that point? A lot can happen. That's my thing.
We go to Hawaii every year, like a different island, and it's just the most beautiful experience.
What if you could retire your family, your parents, and go to Hawaii for a month and just stay there and not have to worry about anything? Wouldn't that be awesome? Mini retirement.
There's not really a particular number that I'm going after.
That's the thing, you know? And people think like this is like a cool thing. You should have a particular number, like your financial freedom.
I just want to keep pushing as high as I possibly can go.
It's like building a tower and the foundation is all the way messed up. And you're like, well, I'm just going to keep building and building and building. Like, for what? It's like, imagine buying a ladder and your goal is just to get over this wall. And you get the ladder and you're like, well, I can build a little higher. And you build higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And when you look down, you're like, wait, the wall's all the way down there. I could have passed it a long time ago, right? So just, that's my thing, man. I've learned a lot. Salih and his siblings plan on buying a house for their parents later in 2021. I remember FouseyTube did this. FouseyTube, he bought a house for his parents and ended up having to sell it because things went wrong for him. This is what I want for people. You know, you buy a home, you're very smart, so you're gonna do like the whole 20%, and then you're gonna pay it off for them or whatever. And then if things go wrong, what happens then? You know what I mean?
But the combined effort of my siblings and I, we were so fortunate to stay true to
that food looks good.
Our mission of helping our parents and providing to them like they did to us. And so we were able to have them retire entirely, and they like are now living close to us. What's theirs,
that's awesome,
was ours growing up, and so like now what's mine is like I feel like is theirs. The most important lesson
living on $24,000. Look at that, huh? The big difference
I've learned about money is to be patient. The money that I make doesn't really change my why. It just proves that when you have your reason and a really grounded mission, the sky is the limit.
What is your why? Guys, overall, I know I sound picky in this video, and I'm not. You know, yeah, I kind of am, honestly, because when you have this opportunity to make this much money, and it's not by luck, it's by a lot of hard work, and most of his income comes, for example, from his job, use that income to get out of the game as fast as possible. Understand what you really need, what you really want in life, and then work towards it. You know, building this house of cards, be careful with it. That's all I'm saying. Like, have like a legit financial plan with what you actually want out of life. That's what I mean. If I want to retire my mom, how much is it gonna cost me? Well, she wants a new car. That's $30,000. She wants passive income, so maybe I can have set up an investment where basically it pays her like $1,000 per month, and that's fine for her, and she's like fully retired, right? So it's about knowing what somebody wants, what it takes, and not just building something for the sake of building it, right? Be careful with that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. On top, also destroy the like button. Appreciate that a ton. On top, if you guys want to watch more content like this, here's a video right here. If you want to call me, the link is down there for free. And follow me on Instagram, Bryson. And here is my face. Click it, see what happens. Peace out, guys, and love you. Bye.